And here on this episode of Qi Time, we're talking about the Qi of love, the energy of love that gets talked about and experienced from all sorts of different angles. And I've got a bit of an expert here, actually. Refer to you as an expert. Adrien Blackwell is with us. She is a celebrity healer and she's worked in Hollywood for over 15 years. And she has got a series going on around how love is the most important thing in the world, really, although that's not the actual title of it. It's come from the Making Miracles Happen series. But it's an absolute joy that she's here with us on the show again. She visited us last year and we had a conversation that was that I didn't quite know where it was going to go to next, but it was really interesting. So welcome back to Qi Time, Adrienne.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's
Oh,
exciting.
I know. And we're talking about love. So why are we talking about love particularly this time?
So I have a series called Making Miracles Happen. And what I do is my series always airs during the holiday season. So I take the summer off because there's no holidays. And that's the time for me to vacation and rejuvenate. But, you know, we start with Halloween, we go to Christmas, we go to Valentine's, and then we celebrate my birthday. And that's how we kind of end the year as far as the series goes. So this time around in February, we're talking about, you know, Valentine's Day, and which is representation of love, a negative representation of love, but nonetheless, I can put my positive energy in there. And so I really wanted to talk to experts about bringing in the different elements of love. And for some people, it's about releasing trauma so you can go into a healthy space of love. For somebody like you came on to talk about how you manifest love. And so literally each and every episode is a specific to how you do something in regards to the heart and love. So some people might talk about self-love. Some people might be talking about, you know, how to get rid of anxiety when it comes to dating and relationships and how that led to marriage. It's so exciting and it's so informative. It's one of the best series that I have interviewed, you know, the interviews that I've done so far, because each and every one has something specific somebody can do right now. It's not just the experts saying, hey, this is, you know, what you need to be doing, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it. It's what and the how.
Which
What
we
and the
need.
how.
We
Yes.
need this here and nowness, because the energy of 2022 is whipping up quite a pace. On the last episode of Qi Time, we had the Queen of Astrology, Pam Gregory, was with us, and she was talking about once we get into February, the pace is going to whip up, and we need to know where this internal barometer is, which we know is directly linked to our hearts and the truth therein, in order to be able to navigate. So having some examples of how you can connect with the love inside of you right here and now is what we need to do. We can't kind of wait, although I will obviously be inviting you to go over to Adrien's website, which is makingmiracleshappenseries.com. Don't go just now, because she's here with us to talk about all these different aspects of love and how being in touch with that for yourself is part of how you, well, actually, I think it's the key part of being able to navigate your way through the world at this time. So, I mean, I'm going to have to ask you about love now, aren't I?
You are.
Yeah. So, if you were interviewing yourself, what would you think was your most profound story around the topic of love?
My love story is I was in a relationship from a very early age, from 15 to 19. It was a 4-year relationship. We lived together the whole entire time. So I've always had a life where I had to grow up fast from a very early age, 5 or 6. But, you know, 15, you're in a relationship. It's kind of like the old days. It's kind of like, you know, way back at, you know, maybe my grandmother or great grandmother, what they were doing. But, you know, it was meant to be. I knew I was supposed to meet him. I knew I was going to have a daughter with him, but I also knew that it wouldn't last. And, you know, it was one of those things that I honestly believed that relationships were supposed to be a fairy tale. I believe that it was supposed to be better than this. And let me just share with you some things that this man would do that I didn't even like realize this was like a great thing. I thought it was still supposed to be better than this. So I remember one night we were laying in bed and we're cuddling, and all of a sudden he starts moving back and forth. And I laugh and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm rocking you to sleep. And
Oh,
And I just start
wow.
laughing because I'm like, what gave him that idea? Because
Yeah.
I honestly grew up watching TV shows and movies where they talk so bad about men. Men don't have feelings. Women are just overly emotional and they want to
Mm.
cuddle. Men don't want that. Men just want sex. And so it was this interesting thing to have this man who's very sensitive who wants to rock me to sleep. And I
Yeah.
remember I would, we worked 2 different shifts. So he would work during the morning, I would work at night. And so I remember I'd be asleep and I'd wake up to get ready for work. And he knew Chinese food was my favorite food. And so he would have a bag of Chinese food on the desk with a little note that says, I didn't want to wake you up, but I bought you some lunch and I love you forever, and I'll be back. I'll see you later.
Wow.
So, and he's like, if he leaves and he didn't wake me up, I would have a note next to my bed every night. Like it was very consistent. I had that security of knowing that's what he would do. And so there was like all of these wonderful things when it came to love, but we were so young. He was 5 years older
Yeah.
than me, 4.5 years, something like that. So I'm at this point 19, he's 24. And one time we were having an argument, and I might have even talked to you about this before, I don't remember, but we were having an argument while we were making the bed, which is just such a weird place to have an argument while you're
Yeah.
trying to clean up and you're making the bed. So we're having this argument, and all of a sudden I kind of stepped back. And this was kind of my first ever experience like this, and maybe the only one, but I had tunnel vision. Like I literally had like a moment of, it was just tunnel vision, and all I could see was him in this circle. And I made this realization, I just was able to connect that he's mad at me because his mom didn't give him what he wanted. And I'm mad at him because my dad didn't give me what I wanted. And we're trying to force each other to give us the thing that our parent didn't give us. And we're angry at each other. Like all of a sudden, it just didn't make sense. And I was thinking how stupid that was. And I start laughing. I just start laughing. I can't stop laughing at this point. And I'm cracking up. I'm thinking he's getting ready to get mad at me because I am laughing at him. And he walks around to the other side of the bed and he grabs my shoulders and he says, I love you. And I said, why? And he said, because you don't take us seriously. And he just walked away. He was done. Like that was enough for him. Like he got it.
Wow.
Don't know
Wow.
how he got it, but he got it. So these were some great experiences, but then there was the not so great experiences where we would argue because we didn't, you just argue. That's just what you
Mm,
do.
mm,
And I
mm.
couldn't understand why we weren't getting along. And so I left. I was like, I left. Like, I was like,
Mm.
it's supposed to be better than this. Like, I didn't realize until interviewing people that were much older than me later on, when I was in my 20s, where they were like, oh, we've been married for 30 years and the beginning of our years were like that too. Like you have to grow up with this person.
Yeah.
You have to learn with this person. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you grow. And so they were like, as you get older, life gets easier with your partner, as you grow together. And she was just kind of explains to me. And like the one
Mm.
person who really sat and told me the whole story from like, young marriage to being in their 50s, really how the whole entire storyline goes. And I realized that I had expectations that weren't realistic because nobody ever sat down and told me this is what a relationship is supposed to be. And this is how you grow. And this is how you work out your issues. And, we would go to bed angry. I would never do that now.
No.
So
Oh.
I was traumatized by
I
this.
bet.
Just let me tell you, I was 19. I left with a newborn baby, and I was traumatized by the fact that I left my relationship. I was
Mm.
traumatized by the fact that I couldn't make this work, and that I felt like all relationships were never going to be the fairy tale that I thought they were supposed to be. So much trauma there that even today, there's so many ways I'm still healing that. And what it came down to was realizing that I wanted to heal myself enough to be able to welcome a relationship if that was for my highest good and greatest joy. I didn't want a relationship, but it was coming from a negative place, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you don't want a relationship, if it's coming from a positive place, but if
Mhm.
it's coming from a negative place because you're afraid, like a
Mm.
positive
Mm.
place is where a person says, if it was for my highest good and greatest joy, I'd welcome a relationship, no problem. But I'm happy being single. I would be happy
Mhm.
being single for the rest of my life. I'm not looking. But when a person is
Yes.
like, no, it's going to be bad. I don't want to have to deal with somebody telling me what to do. Like when you go into that negative aspect, you are holding back your good. And when you're holding back your
Mm.
good
Mm.
romantically from a heart space, you're holding back your money. You're holding back from your clients. You're holding back from the level of healing you could do. Everything's being held back. And I didn't want to come from that place anymore. So I literally did a healing just so I could be open, period. But we did it on a romantic level because if I'm open to romance, whether it happens or not, If I'm open to it, everything else opens up for me. So I actually did a healing intensive. I had my
Hmm.
guides come through and tell me, do you want more money? Yes. Do you want love? Yes. Then this is what you have to do. I actually got a step by step. This is what you will do, and this is how long you will do it. And it just opened up my whole entire world. I think it tripled my income within 5 months. It was
Wow,
insane.
this is such an important piece that you bring through here, Adrian. Is
It is.
this connection between natural abundance and the heart energy, the frequency of love. Is not just about romantic love. You know, it's all the different facets of love, and they all link with each other. And you say to be open to that, and to be open to the romance as well. But if you're blocked with any of it, then that's going to block the other areas too. So the chi behind love is actually the chi of abundance, isn't it?
It is. It's just abundance. And so
Yes.
many people will come to me and they will say, I want help with my finances. I want help getting more clients. I want help with my business. And I'll say, how's your love life?
Wow. Yeah. Good question. Absolutely. Adrien Blackwell is here with me on Chi Time. And I think we might be getting close to the time where we play a favourite tune of my guest. So just wondering if you'd like to introduce which tune you have chosen to share with listeners and why you've chosen it here on Chi Time.
I chose the X Files theme song.
Why?
Because, there's several reasons. There's really several reasons. Years ago, somebody gave me the gift of the cassette, Pure Moods. I think it was volume 3, which the X Files theme is on. And
Okay.
it was the first CD that I had ever received in my whole entire life. And I buy music. I used to buy CD music like crazy. That's what I spent my allowance on. We go to the mall, buy CD music. And it was the first CD that I had or cassette tape that I ever bought or was given where I liked every single song on it.
Oh.
Yeah. And so then I remember hearing the X-Files theme. I'm like, I love this tune. It was like, the Return to Innocence and then X-Files and the piano theme song. And I was like, this tune is so great. I started putting it on my ringtone. Now listen, this has been going on for at least 15 years where I put it on my ringtones. So whenever anybody calls my business phone number, the X-Files rings. So it means a lot to me. It means people are trying to get in contact with me because they believe, they really want to know.
Oh, so we will come back with Adrien Blackwell on the other side of this theme from the X Files. Thank you so much. So after those station messages, we are back on Chi Time with my guest here, Adrien Blackwell. We're looking at the Chi of love and this link with love and abundance. This is really important, isn't it? Because in the Qigong perspective, we will always work with building the foundation first of all, so that you know that you're safe, that your root chakra is connected to the earth, that your lower dantian is filled with the jing of the water, and that you've got your juices flowing, and that gives a foundation, so the heart has a place to seat into and to be able to open. So is this an approach that you may do with some of your celebrity clients when they're kind of a bit out of funk, they can't relate to love or abundance? Would you bring them back to that grassroots grounding and building up their foundational energy first?
Which is interesting now. It's interesting that you asked that because I actually don't work that way. Fascinating enough, right? Because it is about bringing that foundation and balance. But for me, it's really going directly to the heart and actually getting out of survival, because I find that the root chakra is really about your survival, right? It's about
Yes.
surviving the race and the whole human race. And it's like, well, where's the energy that says, let's get out of survival, let's get out of the whole race and just get to you. Just get to you for your center and then connect you to all things. So I actually start from the heart as a foundation, and then I connect it to the rest of who you are. But a lot of times when we're in that space of trauma, when we're in this space of not being connected to anything and rejecting love at every single turn, and even when people are loving us, we don't see it. We focus on the people who aren't giving us what we want, not the people who are. And most people, when they're all focused on nobody wants to hang out with me and nobody wants to do this and nobody wants to do that with me, you'll find that they do, but they say no to it. And they only focus on the thing in which they don't want. And the moment we can really look at that and open that and that whole entire space, so we're not in survival anymore, because that's a survival mode. It's
Mm.
there to try to make you feel safe by rejecting everything and only seeing the things that are rejecting you so you stay isolated. That's a survival technique. And so we open up the heart to get out of survival. We open up the heart to get into thriving. And then I actually connect them to the root. But I do have something to share with you.
Hmm.
Years ago, when I was doing my medical Qigong courses, back when we used to do things in person,
Oh, yeah.
I would drive, the 3 hours to go to class and
Oh,
then drive
God.
the 3 hours back. So it was a 6 hour day, once a week. And my teacher had us do these exercises. Now, my teacher was a huge Qigong teacher from China.
Mm.
He studied in China. He was from here. And he had this really thick book that we had to study. And so he would send us home with these exercises that I just didn't want to do because I'm like, this is a lot. But I
Mm.
would do it faithfully. So I remember going out around midnight every single night and doing this Qigong exercise. And it's a long one. It's like the old man by the water or something, something, something. It's a really long exercise you guys can find on YouTube. But the exercise is meant to help clear the liver and to clear the spleen and to start to purge all of these negative feelings and energies. And he told us this story that was profound for me and made me want to use this energy. It inspired me to do this exercise every single day. And so what he did is he said, he had given it to his massage therapist as a birthday gift. He said, I want to show you this exercise as a birthday gift. And so he called the next week to schedule his appointment. She didn't answer and never got back to him. And so 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed, 4 weeks passed, and she finally reaches out and she said, I did the exercises for about an hour a day. And he was like, oh no, I should have told you shouldn't do more than 3 repetitions of it. So she does it for an hour a day. And she says, within the last month, I've left my marriage. I got a new apartment and I'm living the life that I want to live.
Wow.
It completely changed her energy. So I was like, wow. So anything that's not working, like
Yeah.
you'll just do it. Like I gotta try this, right? every
Uh-oh,
night,
what happened?
every night at midnight, every
Yeah.
night at midnight, I would go out onto my front yard and I would do this exercise and I would do it for at least 10 to 15 minutes, which is way more than 3 repetitions. I'm just saying.
Okay.
And I would look at we were in a city and I would look at the top of the trees and pretend I was in the mountains. And I would
Mm.
just see off into the distance, I'm in the mountains, I'm in the mountains, I'm in the mountains. Yes. And I would do the exercise and I'd let go of any of the grief around living within the city. And about 30 days later, my whole entire family went to hell. Like everything, like literally blew up overnight. And that was the space that I was in. Nothing could be done easy. So this is how it had to happen. It got blown up.
Mm.
And I got in my car and I said, I'm just leaving. Like I packed up my car, I'm sitting in my car and I have nowhere to go. So I called my best friend and she's like, come up to the mountains. She's like, you haven't seen where I lived at yet. You haven't seen where I live. So I drive the 3 hours to get to where she's at. And when I get there, it's everything that I had seen and imagined. And it was a retreat up in the mountains. And that retreat had other healers and they invited me to come stay. So within 30 days, just like this woman, everything had blown up and I ended up in the place that I wanted to be the most. So when I decided that I was going to do this healing intensive and then I was going to start running new energy, of course, what exercise did I go to?
Qigong.
I went to this exercise. And after
Mm.
being single for so long, people started coming in where I got to pick and choose what I wanted. And I got to rediscover myself. What most people are doing their whole entire lives. They're dating, they're single for a little while. Maybe they're dating more, maybe they get married. They're learning more about relationships, which helps them grow. And I
Mm.
hadn't been doing that.
Okay.
I had dedicated my life to healing. I had dedicated my life to actually being single. I had dedicated my life to my daughter,
Yeah.
everything other than love. And then so now I have these choices and I have to realize what I want and I have to decide what is healthy for me. And all of these choices came in. And then all of a sudden I found exactly everything I had been looking for. And it didn't come in a fairy tale. We have problems, but we work them out so easily that it
Mm.
just seems like we don't have problems. It's almost like, wow, we really figured out how to be adults in this lifetime, didn't we?
Yeah, and you're working with the energy behind things, so you're getting clearer and clearer into the truth of who you are, because that's what our qigong practice does, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds like you were doing a very super powered one as well, and but to be that honoring of that practice, to do it at that same time every night, and to be with the energy of the cosmos, which, let's face it, is like super abundant. When we align with that and with our roots in the earth, we cannot get it wrong, if for whatever, we step more into what is true for us. And like you say, that can also create massive changes and shifts, because we become different frequencied people. We step more into the frequency of the truth and of the heart, because that's what runs everything. That anything that's not that just has to drop away. It has to. And my life changed hugely when I started practicing Qigong, and it changed again a lot when I was living on the road and was doing my primordial Qigong practice. That I was just really, became very reliant on it, actually. And I had to look at that at some point and go, hang on, at what point do we lean on these movements, and at what point do we actually become part of the chi flow and are able to pick and choose not only the people are coming in and out of our lives, but also the meditations that are relevant for that moment, the qigong moves that are right then. I think we can get a bit too prescriptive. I'm talking about my own experience here. I recognized that I hadn't got a home, and I was using my form as my home, which then showed me some other stuff about, oh, this is me really loving myself properly, because I'm giving myself a form, an energetic, and primordial Qigong form is amazing. It hits so many spots, totally cosmic and deep, and into your dantians. But I was finding that then became a structure around which other movements and meditations would present themselves. I'd be there for like hours sometimes, just exploring, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm kind of wistful about now. I can do with a bit of that. That would be nice to have hours to follow the chi flow. But it really helped me heal what was really home to me. I found the home within me. And it's so easy to be looking outside of yourself for things, but it's always about the self relationship. That's the first port of call, isn't it? Really.
Yes. And what I think I love about Qigong and love and money and everything else that it helps create in this world, because all it's doing is helping you create an experience that you want to experience.
Yeah.
It's helping you create your experiences, because that's what we're here for, is to have an experience. And what I love is that each and every exercise seems to focus on something different, whether it's a different organ or it's a different mindset. Like one of the exercises that we're doing, I'm talking about something a little different because we're talking about medical Qigong, but it's all the movement. It's all the
Yeah.
movement of bringing the energy in, right? And making the energy
Sure.
flow properly. But I remember there's one exercise, and a lot of these names have just kind of flown out of my mind, because I've been doing this for 20 years at this point. I think this is the medical Qigong stuff. But there's one where you have these animals appear, and they move out energetically from parts of your body, and it actually creates protection. And when we feel safe, we'll allow more in. When we feel safe, we know that we're powerful. It really shifts us into, we can have a relationship because we feel safe within ourselves. Because we have a safe relationship within ourselves, because we know how to shift our energy if we ever didn't feel safe, right? We have these energies that get rid of the anger that's stored in us, that make us argue and not have good relationships, because we're still experiencing life from the inner child. And there's so many different exercises that just move the energy in the right direction, that you can choose what you want to experience based on the exercise. To me, that I think that's just one of the most incredible gifts. Like when I want to clear my lymphatic system, and I want to shake off a lot of the energy that I've been storing, there's a way to do it. I don't have to just go burn sage. I could just do a quick exercise and I'm
Exactly.
good,
And it's always with you as well, isn't it? And I think that coming back to the medical side of Qigong, because it is a part of traditional Chinese medicine, and I know that you've studied specifically medical Qigong, and it is very linked with the elemental Qigong that I look at as well, with the seasons and the body organs and the colors and all of that. And you're right. If you're feeling frustration, and you know that that's like a liver thing, and you want to scream, but you could do the movements and make the sound that goes with that nourishes the liver. You know that you're helping your body release the stagnations or the frustrations that they want to find their way out, to create space so that you can come back into the aligned and integrated mind, body, spirit being that you are. And then everything does meet in the heart, and then you can be led and guided by your heart, and your mind can come in and be harnessed on behalf of the heart. So it's all points back into heart all the time. And of course the heart is got a massive resonance, and that resonates into the field, and we connect with one another. You may be able to feel it here as we're speaking of heart energy, that this is where we truly connect with ourselves and others, isn't it?
It is. It is where we truly connect. And one of the exercises I actually recommend for people who are wanting to create love is, if you know anything about Qigong, if you know anything about the movements, even if you just study one movement, before you go to bed at night, you can imagine doing those movements. Like, I like to imagine myself on the beach or by the lake doing the movements, because it starts to move the energy the exact same way, even if it's only in your mind. And so you can see yourself doing these movements, and you can actually be calling in your soulmate at the same time. It actually works a lot faster than if you don't, is moving that energy.
So brilliant to remember that the mental rehearsal is a really opportune possibility to bring in, because often in the middle of the night you wake up at 3 a.m. it'd be like, oh, meditation time, but it'd be like, well, if I run a qigong, a simple one, then you get the energy moving and it gives the mind something to think about, and it's different from your regular meditation, because if you know this movement already, it's already in the system, you imagine it, and it's like proper magic going off, isn't it?
It is. And, they even showed scientifically that they've taken ball players, and they would, have some do their regular exercises and some they would bring in to do mental exercises first. They see themselves going through their routine before they would actually do it.
Yes.
And they found that they were stronger, better, and they would win more.
Yes. I'm wondering, before we close up, because I've got my heart bowl here, which is part of what I introduced people to on your new series, the Making Miracles Happen.
I love it.
Oh, and I wonder if you fancy just leading us through a very simple heart connection while I play the bowl. What do you reckon?
Sure.
Ooh, that was a bit of a pre-play.
Now, can I do the actual healing?
Go on then.
There we go. That feels good. So when I do this healing work, all you have to do is connect to the feeling in your heart. For some people, that's going to be sadness. For some, it's pain. For some, it may even feel like brokenness. For some, it might be happiness and elation. Just connect to whatever your heart is resonating right now. And in this healing work, all you have to do is say yes in your mind and you will receive it. You have free will, so it's your choice. You're giving the mind, the body, the spirit, and the ancestors everything it needs to heal. Job is just to connect to your heart and pay attention to the emotions and the feelings that are there. They're always there, whether they're hidden or you're aware of them. Now you pour in enough energy, and all of a sudden you'll find that the brokenheartedness dissipates. Sadness becomes happiness. The grief becomes love. The happiness is expanded. And the elation becomes a master manifester in your life. This heart of yours is a gigantic magnet. Flow the chi properly, it will expand and expand and expand with whatever energy we put in. So we are putting in the energy of being healed. We are putting in the energy of love. We are putting in the energy of partnerships, healthy partnerships. If you've never experienced it, you know how to and what it feels like to experience it right now. So much so it feels like it's already existent in your world. Just continue to let this energy flow. Don't try to control it. The natural natural energy and the flow of all things. And so therefore you do not need to direct it, only to accept it. And as we bring this down from your heart into your root, into your feet, into the earth, it becomes the all of who you are. Gently guiding your next movements. And all you have to do now is think that I allow, I allow, I allow. And it is done.
And so it is. So it is, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Adrien, for sharing that with us, that profound process. I shall look forward to tuning in with that again on replay. And all Chi Times are available on replay here on UK Health Radio or on my podcast channel, Clara Apollo's Chi Time, or the video is on my YouTube channel, Clara Apollo's Chi Time TV. Adrien, how can people find out more about you?
All they have to do is go check out the series, which is Making Miracles Happen series.com, or Google Adrien Blackwell, or go to adrienblackwell.com. Either way, it's easy to find me.
Yeah, so if you want to find out more about all these different aspects of love and how many different experts have you got into this particular series?
I think we've covered all of them, if I'm not mistaken.
How many?
How many speakers?
Yeah.
I think at this point we have 30.
30. Wow, that's a wealth of information. So, thank you so much for all that you're bringing through to help hearten us and strengthen us in our own personal fields, but also in the collective field that we are creating here as we're collaborating and co-creating the new earth, because it's the time to do this now. It's really the time to do it. And so we are connecting. Here I am near Glastonbury, UK. And where are you in the world? I'm
in California, USA.
Yeah, you see, there's the connection coming there. And all of you, wherever you're listening or watching, where are you? In physically, where are you based? But energetically, here we be in the quantum field of all possibilities, beaming and breathing and being with the love that is truly us. So keep peeling back those layers, keep being with the truth of you. And I want to give you a really big hug. Adrien, thank you so much for doing all of that which you do and for being part of Chi Time too. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. The rest of you, thanks so much for listening and watching. I'll see you next time. So till then, keep your chi up, my friends. Your energy is important.